Hey there, this is the guy that spent 300 pulls to get Phraesto to Supreme Plus, and welcome to this AFK journey video. So just earlier, or in the earlier video, I actually spent about 300 plus pulls to get Phraesto to Supreme Plus. And one of the reasons why I actually committed to that unit is because this unit has a lot of flexibility in terms of team building. And right here in today's video, I'm going to share a brand new PvE team that's sweeping the later stages by storm, and that is the Smoky carry team. So different from the usual team setups, right? This team relies on Smoky, which is the support, as the main carry. So the core of the team, as you guys can see on screen right there, is Phraesto, right? Smoky, 3 other supports, right? Sometimes it could be Arden and Iron, sometimes it could be Brian, sometimes it could be Hewin. So the core is actually just Phraesto and Smoky, and then you put in other units to make sure your Smoky becomes the carry. So how does this Smoky carrying strat works? Let's go back into the game and let's talk about the Withering Potion. So Withering Potion gets a third upgrading effect, extending the skill effect range by 1 tile, and the aroma will be enhanced for 10 seconds when this skill gets the third upgrade for the first time, right? So this is only a one-time skill, right, where it makes the enemy in the skill range lose 12% of their max HP per second, which is massive. Okay, in a sense, because in a late game, when you're doing deficit pushing, your normal carry's attack is not gonna hit the enemies as hard. So making them lose a fixed percentage of their HP during that period where Withering Potion's third upgrade is active is gonna kill them off. So later you guys will see the effect of how it works. And the reason why this team works with Phraesto and not any other tank is because there's no other tanks that's able to tank as well as Phraesto while providing the buff needed to either accelerate the ultimate, which is the energy regen portion, or damage reduce on Smoky so that he can stay alive for a little bit longer. So this is a unique trait where only Phraesto can do. He can tank so that he can draw attention away, right, prevent a lot of those debuffs, and at the same time he can accelerate the use of the ultimate for Smoky so that you reach this Withering Potion ASAP, and right, or you use the damage reduction so that if there's a lot of AoE damage, the AoE damage doesn't kill Smoky, so Smoky can last until the third ultimate. So this is one condition which your tanker need to satisfy, because Smoky needs to use the ultimate 3 times before he gets this effect once. So this is a very powerful effect, you guys will see later on, and it is currently one of the late game pushing teams. So I will showcase the replay from my friend's video first, and then I'm going to showcase a few replays for my own AFK stage pushing. Okay, so you guys will see over here, this is my friend on Bilibili once again. I'll say this is a very late game account, because I would say that this, I mean, to rephrase it, I think this is a very late game strategy, in a sense you need Smoky build up and you need Phraesto build up. So it's not something that I think the free-to-play players or the low spenders will be able to reach easily, although most people should have a Smoky invested for dream round purposes. So if you have Smoky and Phraesto, and you might have other units built up for this sort of content pushing power, then you guys can, you know, try this comp out, right? This is a mega late game comp, and as you guys can see right here, my friend has a very shiny hero collection with a ton of stars, so it's not something that normal people can do, but the idea works even for my account, which I'll showcase later. So right here, as you guys can see, Smoky is the carry with a ton of damage, okay? And he's the carry of the team, and we have no other carries. We have a bunch of support units, and then we have 1 tanker unit. So let's see how the battle runs out, right, for this team setup. So right here, he uses Rainer to send Smoky in the middle. One thing which I think you need to make sure for this team to work is that your Smoky won't be interrupted by stuns or control spell consistently. So this team might not work against a lot of setups where you have a lot of stuns, a lot of controls, but in deficit pushing where there's no stuns or controls, this team definitely works, right? In a lot of cases where the enemies just doesn't take a lot of damage from your carry. So right here, you guys can see, I think this is the second ultimate. I was talking a little bit, but I think this is the second one. So on the third one, right, this Smokey will get the blue color aura, which is where he starts damaging units. So the other units, as you guys can see, is just there for the sustain, for the damage reduction, for the spamming, so that you keep your units alive, so it draws attention. So this is where, right, the damage kicks in, right? So this is like at the stage where most normal carries would not have been able to do damage, or most normal carries will be doing very minimal damage. So right here, Smokey is doing his role, so the enemies are left with very little HP. So right here, when they come back, we just kill them off from there. So this is how this team works. Okay, and Phraesto is obviously the main tank anchoring on the front line, because if you take a look at the damage, right, done by Phraesto over here, I mean, the damage taken by Phraesto, this is 44 billion damage. So the reason why, right, this is the reason why this comp only works with Phraesto in the front line, because this unit can tank up, he can heal himself back up, and then when you have a bunch of support unit backing him up, he can tank so much damage. When you're pushing AFK stage at the massive deficit at the mega late game, a lot of these units, even the minion like ones, they hit really hard. As you guys can see, Smokey hits for, I think, 9.8 bill, right? 9.8 bill, and then the enemies are all hitting like 4 bill, 3 bill, so on and so forth. So it's quite a lot of damage there. And if you're running Brutus, yes, Brutus can definitely tank up, but it's only for 5 seconds because of the inbound. And then if you're running Danny and Torrent, the Torrent has a few lives, but when Torrent falls, there will be a gap where Torrent will sort of like have to revive, right? And that's where your other supports might be melted by the massive damage output. So this team is only possible because of the existence of the new unit. And without further ado, I'm gonna showcase my own account runs to show you guys like this team also works for like the lesser invested players. I mean, my account is probably pretty big by most people's standard, but let's see how this battles run. Okay, so we have AFK stage 820. Okay, so this is the formation. Okay, so as you guys can see, so I ran Smokey, Phraesto, and then in this case I run Hewin as a heal, I run Iron to group everyone together, and then Danny for the additional control as well as physical attack needed to bring the enemy down. So without further ado, let's take a look at the replay. Okay, so my team is obviously not as invested as my friend, and as you guys can see right here, right, my units are dealing damage, but because there's a 90-second timer, so one reason, if let's say the game mode is, I'll say, infinite damage, then I mean infinite timing, then obviously if you can sustain and you have carry, you'll be able to clear it like very quickly, right? But when you talk about AFK challenges itself, the stage timer is one thing you need to overcome, and at this stage a lot of the Carolina, Arden, Damien comms, or even the OD comms, they don't hit hard fast enough, right? They're not as fast, so you need like that massive burst within a short period of time to remove the enemy, because enemies in the late game right here, either they have some sort of immunity, they have some sort of evasion, they have some sort of heals, which makes it really annoying to deal with them through the orthodox method. So this is where the Smokey healing thing comes in. So you guys can see Iron pulls everyone together, Vala is within the cloud, so Vala gets burned, and then there will be like this weakness where, because your Smokey cannot move, right, wherever Smokey casts the ultimate, that's where the damage will be in. So there will be some stages where you need to carefully plan your positioning so that Smokey hits as many units as possible, so that other units from your team will be able to finish up the enemies from there. So from here, as you guys can see, because this Fireball Spirit, they are all physical immune, I mean they're all magically immune, so Iron, Arden, Carolina, they're not going to hit as hard. But because I have Danny in the team, Danny can actually use the ultimate, hit them, and I'm using the quick blitz spell, which does physical damage as well. So that's where my additional damage source comes in, right? So this is where I'm able to finish the match, although it's a very long drawn out one. So that's one other issue with this comp. So it's not exactly the fastest comp, because the very first step for you to overcome the stage is to make sure Smokey reach the third ultimate. So you guys can see, right, main carry of choice. Okay, Danny in this case also did quite a bit of damage, because Danny towards the end actually did more damage to the flame soul. So over here, right, all these flame souls, they took more damage, whereas for the tornado has to be one of the most annoying units in the game, right, where it's able to go into the inbound state. So this unit, it's dealt by Smokey, and then the rest of the other units that Smokey didn't manage to hit, is dealt by our dear Danny. So this team doesn't actually have a carry unit. I mean, you can also call Iron the carry, but Iron, I'll say, is pretty much more of a support utility in this team itself. So you guys can see the damage distribution. Okay, so I have another replay which also runs on the same concept. So this team works pretty well, right? So this is also, I'll say this is like a more orthodox team, and as you guys can see, right, even with OD in the team, Smokey did way more damage. Like, this is just how powerful Smokey is in terms of dealing damage if you're able to reach the third skill of ultimate, right, to hit the Withering Potion damage buff. So we will see how it performs here. So let's start the battle. Okay, so I'll go at one time so that you guys can see how the battle turns out. So right here, OD chose the ultimate at Arden, right? OD's job in the team is to just throw ultimate all around. So when Smokey's ultimate kicks in, right, he'll start melting people, and he'll melt people to the damage threshold for OD's ultimate to kill them instantly. Okay, so I'm not gonna bore you guys. I'm just go skip into the third ultimate. So that was the first ultimate. Usually the third ultimate is about a 40-second mark. Okay, so you guys can see, right, Huey's job is to keep the whole team alive. Reyna's job is to reposition Smokey. So we have one more. I think it's around 30+ second mark. So Phraesto is tanking very nicely on the front line, surviving really well. So right here, right, I chose to keep my Reyna's ultimate because I know that Smokey's ultimate is gonna come. And another thing I want to do with Reyna's ultimate is to prevent either Ciccia or Hewin from using their ultimate. So I wanted to animation cancel Ciccia, but I think I failed, right? I was a little late, so I transferred her out after she raised her hand, so I didn't manage to cancel the ultimate. But as you guys can see, this is where Smokey's ultimate blue aura kicks in. So it starts to melt everyone, and then people start to pop from OD's ultimate right here. Okay, so from right here, when Ciccia come back, she continued to be burned, and now OD's gonna throw the ultimate, and then OD's gonna melt her. Okay, so we're gonna pop Ciccia right there. Very nice stuff. Okay, so this is the power of, I'll say, Smokey, but more importantly, Phraesto in the team, because this team idea would not have been possible without this new unit. And I can see more creative strats with this unit coming up, because I've seen some really crazy stuff at where I am right now. Like, people are trying different things out, and it's quite nice to see a breath of fresh air, right? Because Soren is not very good. Elsa's decent, but Elsa doesn't actually move out of the frame for a new team to build up. So this is something which is really nice to see. So yeah, that's it for this video, right? So if you guys like to try this Smokey carry team, if you guys like to build up this sort of a new PvE team for your content pushing, especially if you're in the super late game where I'm at right now, then you guys can definitely build up Phraesto and even build up Smokey if you haven't yet. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you guys again in the next one. Bye guys.